Yeah,
little
oh
bit?
yeah.
Okay, so I got the old draft.
Quite a bit, I was gonna say.
I have the old draft.
Yeah, I have a copy of the new can we make copies of this?
I can make copies.
Yeah. I
I
think
would
just
print, but I
this.
don't have to in case we-
So if you don't want to be on.
we can start.
Excuse me?
Your live streaming.
Okay. Okay, good morning. We'll start the governance meeting here for September 15th, 2022. It is 9:34. Can I get a call of order? Lynn Archer,
Here.
Kostaru Walla,
Here.
Mike Ham here. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm sorry I went out of order. Roll call I already did. You guys have in front of you the minutes from the September 8th meeting. I ask that you review them quickly, and if I can get a motion to accept. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
Arrangement, not arraignment.
I saw that.
Chair, I would make the following correction and then accept the minutes as presented. In the first paragraph under old business, it says arraignment versus arrangement, and that would be it.
So noted. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Public comment, agenda items only. No one likes to sign on for the governance meeting. I don't understand it. Exempt session. Joe, I'll turn it over to council.
Thanks, Mike. Mike, I understand that there's been some discussions at the last governance committee meeting about NDAs and revolving door issues, and you and I have had a couple of discussions on that topic. I have done some preliminary research in that area, and I've talked to one of my litigation partners. So if the members of the governance committee want to discuss that,
Excuse me,
matter in
Joe.
more detail-
Joe, 1 second. Okay, we're going to enter into exempt session first, okay? Just
No,
to
I
get.
understand.
He's
I
explaining
Oh,
why.
I'm sorry, you were
Explaining
explaining
why.
getting to it. I apologize, Joe.
Yep. You know, lawyers, Mike, it takes them 15 minutes to say what they want to say.
Correct. I'm sorry.
My suggestion to the committee members would be that we would go into exempt session to discuss the matter, because I really think it comes under attorney-client privilege, and therefore that's something that we can go into a closed session to have a discussion for the purpose of getting the advice of counsel. So that would be my suggestion if the board, I'm sorry, not the board, but if the committee members want to discuss those points in more detail.
Thank you, Joe. Jay?
I recommend we go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
So can I get a motion to come out of exempt session?
So
So
moved.
So
I'll
we-
second it.
All in favor? Aye. No action was taken in exempt session. Okay, back to agenda. So we'll go to old business. So let's get right into the review of the administration's staff organizational. Kostub, you want to
Sure.
start us off here?
So, from our discussions last time, what we did was, well, what I did was, to be clear, revise the document a little to reflect how we're thinking about the structure, what the objectives are, and what potentially are benefits. And just to step back, this is still a draft, this is still in work in progress,
Mhm.
and subject to council review. And then I also added, as per our discussion at the last meeting, a second page and a third page, one reviewing how and what the circle of communication would be, which is that bit, yeah. And this is yet to be developed to include how we think about the community and how we think about other potential entities that should be a part of this, even vendors. But then, this is not prescriptive, this is more indicative of how we think about all the parties involved.
And we have the communication committee also
Correct.
kind of working on outreach, how do we
Yep.
communicate, what do we communicate? So I think that, again, this could be one of those living documents
It
that
is.
really starts to evolve as we.
Works in progress.
As,
Mhm.
exactly. So, and as that becomes apparent, we can add those components. I think it's a way of having everybody understand the way we're going to operate and create a visual to that effect.
And it's really to explain simply what we are attempting to achieve. This is not final yet. And this also should include, I believe, working groups that we have for housing and others that it should interact with. And then the next page, what we did was, as discussed, simply add, which is titled Resource and Staffing Considerations, in terms of if we are thinking about the structure, how that structure should be executed or implemented. Whether it should be a full-time staff, as we were discussing, or should be, on the other end, completely contracted staff.
So, and it kind of highlights, as we were discussing last meeting, the pros and cons of each of the potential scenarios, which could potentially be a hybrid, could be a combination. But I think what it does do is it starts to create the conversation with the board around what would be the best way to approach supporting the IDA, regardless of whether we're here in 2 years
Yep.
or not, and how we transition through and how we have resources to support new board members and changes, et cetera. So
And-
in other words, to keep projects moving and keep continuity.
That's right.
I think that's going to be the key word here going through, continuity.
Well, that's what's
gonna be it.
So
Yeah.
bringing you back to the second page
Mhm.
with the org structure. So that's why I noted independence, continuity, and transparency as the top three objectives. And we'll clarify that, but this is more, as Lynn said, a working, breathing document right now. We want to make sure it gets in front of the board for review.
And discussion.
And then discuss,
Yeah.
such that we are not just simply saying this is our proposal only and this is set in stone. It's more open to discussion, suggestions, and then potentially we can revise it during the next 30 days and have an approval potentially after that.
Mhm. So, quick question.
Please.
Resource and staffing considerations.
Mhm.
All right. So full-time, we're basing the full-time on 35 hours, correct? Okay. Just,
Yeah, we can be explicit about that.
now, full-time management, contracted management. So hypothetical situation, contracted management, if we had an executive director's role, okay, we'd really have to figure out, is it a full 35 hours?
Correct.
Is it a 20-hour? Is it,
contracted by the hour.
T&M.
Right.
You know?
No,
Well,
that's right.
and it's gonna be unusual, it's gonna be unusual work hours. It's not gonna be a 9 to 5 job.
I agree.
Or it could potentially be evenings, but it would be an accommodation that would be worked out with the chair and the board as
Right.
needed, given what's before them.
Okay.
And it's
and-
going to be involved with respect to how you interact with all the communication entities that we were talking about.
You know, this is early, we're going to have good discussion, so good ideas are going to come out of everyone here.
Exactly.
In different angles, you know. I mean, I lean towards a more structured thing where I look at a full-time management and administration, because when you have a steady flow of administrators, and you extend, we spoke about extending whoever was an administrator. You know, currently we're up here with Amber and Jay and Vicky.
Yeah.
You know, if you had a contract that extended and overlapped into the terms of the IDA board, you still have continuity driving you into the first year of a new board.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly.
so you always.
like a 3-year contract we had talked about.
Correct, correct.
So you
I-
have that overlap,
I like
and the
that.
new board can determine, is this who we want to continue,
Mhm.
or is there something else? So it does give that flexibility.
So
Right, okay.
To clarify two things. One, this is, as you know, this is not final, and the ordering of these is not meant to be in a priority format either.
No,
So-
but my eye
No,
personally
I get
draws
it.
straight to.
Once we have decided, we will put an outline around one
Mhm.
of those that we prefer as a whole board.
Correct.
And the other thing with respect to 3 years or 4-year term, if you refer back to the page with the structure, I added a bullet at the bottom under key objectives that management team to be staggered relative to the board
So,
in terms of its term.
yes.
So it's not exactly matching, but overlapping with the next board term or any other term.
You do have something in here that I think we need to be sensitive to, where you put staggered board potentially,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't determine that. That is determined by the legislature, and it can be something we speak to the Economic Development Legislative Committee about. Is that something they would consider? You know, it complicates it, but it may be something that we put an argument on the table to say, consider. But we do not determine that.
We
So
don't
just
have
so we're
to. No,
clear.
I agree, and that's
Yeah.
why I put it in parentheses
Okay.
potentially, such that we know it's to be
I think we should
discussed.
go a step further and put
Square brackets?
legislative decision.
Mhm.
Because I think we need to let everybody know who sees this, that we recognize where our responsibilities begin and end.
No, that's a fair point.
So, back to resource and staffing consideration. So, as we're coming down through the considerations, and I think you hit all the bullets, I think we also have to include in there, and I don't know if you have it somewhere else in here, so I'm going back to you. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not that far ahead. Office space, because
Yep.
we're going to have to provide that. We're going to have to provide. Now, once again, it depends on what avenue we take, what road we go down, you
Right.
know? So,
So we'll put it on this page. It's not visible on the front page because it's under AV, which is under.
Mm-hmm. it is under
administrative.
AV,
Yeah,
right?
Sorry.
But we should,
But
we
we're
should
gonna
put
address
it
that as
under
a consideration.
consideration.
Yep.
Okay. And all the other bells and whistles
No,
that
I
are
already
being
added that.
attached to it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's anything else, I mean, yes, we put the fundamentals as it relates
Correct.
to an employee, but there are other considerations.
There's gonna
be-
We
I guess
also
we can say-
have, we also have storage issues.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Office space and other
Storage.
infrastructure.
Well, currently, storage is being provided by the county once we get everything here.
But
But once the
that's-
6-month term runs,
Yes.
There you go.
for the continuity, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
What's the next move? What's the next step?
Okay.
Okay.
Don't we live in a digital world now? We're not supposed to have a paper trail?
Yeah, right here.
Isn't that what it is?
No, you still need, I think there's still paper required.
They will be.
Yeah.
It's not going away.
It doesn't go away.
I'm still putting sticky pad notes on the
Oh,
dash
I
of
do
my
too.
car to remember things, so.
Yeah, as long as you don't put them on the front street.
You know?
it's all right.
Yeah.
But no,
So then a full-time management and outsource. So
Mhm.
even there, you're going to have office consideration. If
Correct.
You have
So-
inside.
The considerations, just to clarify, that we should be discussing with the board are going to apply equally almost to all. the
Yeah,
staff.
that's going to go right
Yeah.
across
Yeah.
the board, correct.
This is uniform.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, got it. And then now you're seeing some of the edits that I did.
Yep, I see those.
And again, I think I mentioned to you, under administrative, we could do a summary and then
Yeah.
just put more of this with the job
have that, yeah.
description
I have that.
in the detail.
Yep.
And the one, I think that as it relates to the finance piece,
Mm-hmm.
what I would recommend we do is, take from the contracts that we've had
Yep.
with both services
Yep.
and include those, and maybe ask Amber to take a look to see, did we capture everything in a job description for a financial role? Because one of the things that is also got to be part of it is the, P&Ls
Yep.
of projects coming before
Various
us,
reports and- yep.
financial reviews of, all of those things. And so we'll ask for you to help us craft the components of that, if that's okay. Great.
We can work
I
on
think
that.
that could help. So then we have then those three elements are really detailed. And the question on the AV stuff right now is, just still out there. That could be a more longer term. We have the support right now, we have the equipment right now. Does it need to get improved down the road? I think that's a longer term question.
Right. In any terms of AV, I mean, you've always have that. We always have that clause in there where we can discontinue service, after 30 days. The 30-day out is in
Yeah,
all those.
I
and
think
if
that's
we
one thing,
need-
and if you need improvement in infrastructure with
Right.
respect to whatever
Well,
system is being
Streaming
used, streaming
meetings or-
media and all
right.
that,
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
As technology improves.
That's right.
Well, which would probably make it easier for us not to need it, but you never know.
We'll meet Mike's wish of not using paper.
So I think we're getting a lot closer, right?
I think so. I think we need to have it in a place where we can have a discussion with the board. So a lot of
I
these
think
things are
this-
still questions.
Right.
And if we phrase those as such, we should get responses with some intelligent answers with respect to what we have not thought about. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to take some time to digest
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
So, and thinking through all of, and the whole point here is let's make sure that we have thought of the pros and cons of every
Yes.
one of the scenarios.
to be
and is
comprehensive.
something,
Well,
right.
I'm sure when this gets finalized and we start taking after the role to find these people, everybody's going to come with a wish list of someone they know. So I think at that point, once we get beyond this, it's going to be a vetting out process.
Which is fine, which is the interview process and the RFP process, or whatever
You
you
know,
want to call it, right?
I don't think,
Perfectly fine. Actually,
I think
that's
it's,
another point.
I think you guys, it's right on the mark. The
Thank you.
description's very, very layman. You can read through and you go,
You know
no one
what
could
it
come
is.
back to us and go, well, I didn't understand my exact role. I don't think
It's
there's,
best to keep it simple then.
yeah, but there's no avenue for anybody to, think it's something different than what it is here on the paper.
No, but the whole, what I've always found is, to your point, Kashtu, keep it simple.
Yeah,
And
clarity.
ensure communication.
Yes.
Ensure that people are not
Mhm.
making decisions, or understand the parameters of what decisions they can
Yep.
make without approval to facilitate an action. And I think, the best we can do is outline it, and then you put the right people in place, and over time, roles will expand and change and move depending on the individual, but the general gist of the jobs are clear.
All this is fantastic. At the end of the day, that's what's going to count, right
Yes,
there.
That's exactly right.
Okay? That counts. That's the one. This way the tail is never wagging the dog.
No, and that's why I like Lynn's proposal
Mhm.
on putting brackets and clarifying that that's a legislative decision.
Mhm.
That's only a suggestion
Yeah.
and thought.
Yeah, this is
And-
great work.
If I could go back or bring everybody's attention back to resource and staffing considerations page
Mhm.
really quickly. What I just did was added 2 points under the right-hand side columns for full-time management outsourced services and then contracted management and outsourced staff,
Mhm.
because that will require RFP or some kind of a request for proposal
Oh,
from a
okay.
vendors, whereas the first one should not.
Doesn't.
Yeah. You know, as you go down there, it's like shopping for a pair of sneakers.
Right.
You know, you can go to a sports store and pay 140, or we can go to ShopRite and we can pay 30. You know, so when you read across this, you know, everything comes with a price tag. So,
Yes.
and there's, you know, full time, and when you get to contract and management outside sources, you may lessen the load as far as your office space goes, because it already comes with office space, because you're procuring that kind of staff already in your agreement. So yeah, I think it's what you did here is you opened this up, you know, to, you know, and you never know. We get going along. And
We
you
don't know.
You start
That's
cherry
the thing.
picking things and go,
We
wait a
don't know.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, you know, so.
And 3 years down the road,
Yeah.
somebody might say, I can provide the same services and it'll be beneficial to the board.
Mhm.
Maybe we switch at that point. But
No.
right now, it's laying out all the options and
For
potential
consideration.
considerations.
Yeah, I got to tell you something. The board's going to have great discussions with this. This is,
That's why,
yeah.
That's our hope.
yeah.
I really believe it. I mean, it's very well laid out, you know, very well laid out.
And you know what I'll do? I know we're getting close to the discussion on this. Once I have all the comments in from what you sent and these, I'll send it to you, and I'll CC Joe as well, so he has a copy as our counsel.
Yeah, because we want to get this
Yeah.
to the board members for next week's meeting.
And
Yeah,
potentially,
It'll take him a little bit to start.
Exactly,
drawing-
that's
I
right.
mean, a lot of it's template stuff, you know,
Yep.
boilerplate, but still, he has.
no, I want him to get reviewing sooner,
Mhm.
because in the interim, Amber and I can also work on the description for
Financial.
financial.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and I sent you the stuff for the admin, which you can
I have
extrapolate
it,
from
yeah.
the job
Yeah,
description
yeah.
and plug it in, and then fine tune it.
I think I wasted too much of my time on this, because I was looking for logos for all those and didn't find
You
them.
did. It's great
That's
work.
okay.
It's good work.
It is.
You know, I know it's time consuming.
It is.
You know,
We need to be thoughtful, though.
I
That's
think
all.
everybody. It's funny. I tell all the people in my line of work, the members. I said, you know, and it applies here too. I tell them that you get out of this, you know, your job exactly what you apply
That's
to your
right.
job.
That's right.
And if you don't apply, or you think you just show up and go,
No.
somebody else will do it, that's where you're at.
Good
You
luck.
know, it's just no good. And you know, I know on this committee, we get a lot of things going on in this committee. I'm not selling any other committee short, but this committee gets a lot of stuff done. You know,
Okay.
yeah. You know, so it's just.
All right, so I think we have a plan.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
so
so.
too. I think so too. Coming into the 21st, you know, I know I spoke to the chair already,
Mhm.
and the chair's going to look for discussion on this
Yep.
and a brief, and we're going to go. we're
Can
gonna
can
run
I
with it.
just go back one more time, because I think it's one of the things that we're going to have to highlight
Mhm.
within each of the scenarios, regardless,
On the staffing considerations, you mean?
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, in the, you know, the work environment, it's a non-standard workplace regardless if we have an office or not,
Mhm.
because of the, you know, we're needed wherever and what time a project review or what have you is required. And some of it requires going to sites to visit.
Sure.
Well, there's a
So
lot
I
of,
think we need to
Yeah.
make sure we highlight that as, conditions.
Modality of work. maybe?
So-
Yeah.
so if we're, it's, I think you're right, Lynn, there is some other things, and you bring up a great point, and Amber can attest to this, site visits for the ABO in the Paris, and we're gonna have to have that completely done. And listen,
Board,
people are not 100% cooperative in getting us through the door on that, and people, they're not forthcoming in getting the information that Amber will need to file that.
public
Um,
hearings could
But
occur
the
in
executive
the
director
evenings. Yep.
will have to take an active role in scheduling site visits, putting teams together to meet. Everybody's going to have to take a turn, I know, because it's
And it could
overwhelming for
be
the same
during
two
the
people.
day. Yeah, it could be all different, so
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
a not a typical work schedule for all of those jobs to some degree. But I think we need to build that flexibility into considerations.
So,
So I got a quick question right now, and this may be, I don't know, maybe Amber can answer this. We'll be coming upon this pretty soon for site visits and make sure everybody is in the queue to what they're doing. Who is, we going to have the chair set those up? Is the chair going to work with you, Amber, to set up site visits?
I'm not sure. at this
Okay.
point.
All right, we'll touch base with the chair.
I think we can bring it up. But
Yeah,
what I
just to make sure
did-
compliance issues
Yeah.
are going on, so.
What I just did, and you'll see in the draft as well, I wrote down on the resource and staffing considerations page,
Mhm.
modality of work, and then on the responsibilities or position description, flexibility of work schedule.
There you go.
Which we can replicate
Mhm.
across. It's
Could
open
be,
to,
could be representing the IDA at community events,
Yeah.
at town board meetings. I mean, it could be a whole list of.
we can provide examples, yeah.
Yeah. I just made some notes and I want to make sure I got them all.
You want to know
Yep.
something? Mine are all over the place, but it
Yeah.
seems to work for me because I grab mine and go,
Mine
oh,
are
yeah,
all
that's right.
over
I
too.
circled that. Why did I circle that? Oh, that's on pad 2. Okay.
It's on the posted one reference.
Non-visibility one.
All right.
Very good. Very good. So, this is great work, and this is moving ahead pretty rapidly because, you guys are pretty open to meeting as much as we need to meet
Yeah.
to get this information over to the board for discussion and get it approved and moved ahead and finalized. So I don't want to put more stuff on everyone, but we do know the hot topic, and we might as well just lay this right out, is that, housing is going to be a big topic for this committee.
Yes.
Moving ahead with that. I asked that maybe you start getting some ideas together on how to approach this issue.
Okay.
With everything going on, the transition of the board and, getting everything back up and running with the new board now, I think we got to get back on this.
Sure.
Sooner than later. I'm going to share with you the notes that I had in the past when we pretty much hit the stopping point where everything
Was about to change.
yeah, everything was going to change. I have a nice big file for everybody, so, I do have some people still in the queue. I speak to them. I would like to bring them in, different housing authorities, different people that handle economic development in different areas. And once again, I don't throw shade on Dennis and the team up here at all. I think we just get a fresher perspective from people
Get
and where it
different
works
ideas.
No, that's-
and
that's
what's
What do
going
they
on.
do?
That's right.
Yeah.
And I have 2 or 3 guys that way, and we also have to circle Rashida in with her housing work
Yep.
group. Okay, get some input from Rashida.
Yes.
We'll have to see what Rashida's availability is. Maybe she can come and sit in on one of the governance
Yep.
meetings with us. Okay, either one way or the other, whatever fits her schedule. So I think she's going to be a vital part of
I
this
think that's
too.
a good idea, yes.
But I just wanted to throw it out in your wheelhouse. This is going to be
Hey.
the next, I know this was the hot button issue right now. I'm not putting, housing on a back burner, but this had to be done. This had to be done.
Full transparency, I've been thinking about housing for a little while as well, so I'd love to see what you're thinking about. And
Yeah, I have some, I've got some interesting point of views from very, very smart people, and people that have their finger on the pulse of what's going on. One person in general, and in the beginning, I was, that's kind of crazy, but over these months, when I sit there and I look at my paperwork, and I do, I look at it, I review it all the time, and I update it because you jot stuff down. So it's a work in progress for me. But I turned to appreciate somebody's point of view on what was going on. And the more and more I looked at it, I introduced it to several other people in different areas in New Jersey and Long Island and everywhere. And they turn around and I go, oh, yeah, that's going to work. And I went, oh. I said, okay, so, it's good. I'm going to present that. And then I know we got a lot of smart people in this room, and it'll start coming in. And maybe you could build off that, or somebody says, well, here's the problem with it. And I go, maybe we didn't look at it that way. But there's something. But I do say it once, and I'll say it 20 times. Without the help from the legislature, this is not the entity to solve the housing crisis.
No, that's right.
So
Not even just the legislature, I also think the county
the
exec.
county exec,
That whole administration, I think this is a collaborative
Hamlets and
effort in
towns too.
I agree.
communities.
I
and
agree.
Hamlets and
communities,
towns too, yeah.
I agree. And, it's funny, I'm going through my stuff for what we have going on, and I go, what is this? I go, oh, my God, I got notes intertwined in here for housing and rent and, countywide housing trust funds, and
I saw that.
you just keep
Yeah. Molinaro.
getting
Exactly.
it and getting it and getting it. So, everything that is put out there, there may be a little sparkling clause somewhere along the line, but I just wanted to put that in your wheelhouse, okay,
No,
you guys?
we
I know
appreciate
I know everybody here's got a lot on their plate. We're all doing a lot of stuff, so.
That's right. We talked about at the last meeting, and we got some insights around putting in a new,
NDA.
yeah.
And we currently have the NDA policy, yes. So the discussion with council is going to be looking into expanding the NDA.
I think we should direct them
Direct
to
them to-
Yeah,
do
so
that, so that we
will
have
direct council.
something to look at,
Yeah.
at least, and decide as a board.
And once again, like we've all spoke, and I think everybody on the board agrees, anybody that will be handling any issues of the IDA is exposed to all our information, therefore they will have to sign on to an NDA. Okay, the board is automatically introduced to the NDAs. I think directing council, Mr. Scott, to move ahead with this and then get something on paper and introduce it to the entire board, I agree. Okay,
And
I agree.
You'll follow up with
I
them
will
to do
follow up
that.
with council on
Okay,
that.
good,
And
good.
I'm sure council will have something for the full board on the 21st.
Okay.
Okay?
That would be great, at least to talk about, right?
Correct.
If not,
Correct. Open a discussion,
Yeah.
right.
but at least Joe will be prepared. And, we may be able to move it ahead into the October
Okay.
or sooner.
So
Let's
Okay.
see,
From the
Yeah.
governance committee standpoint, we'll have two agendas, I'm assuming, this
this
and the NDA.
and the NDA.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay? And then there's no rest, okay? Because we got it.
There'll be more.
We got the next one.
I know you haven't slept all night.
We haven't
neither have I,
actually.
so-
No.
He's been thinking about it.
Oh,
That's right. He's hoping for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right, great work, okay, great work. And you'll get this, once you get it, you'll get stuff over to Joe, just for.
So I'm going to
just
send-
keep him in the loop.
Yes, I'm going to send this to.
And
this
Amber,
group.
make sure Amber too, because Amber has good
Yeah, I'm going to
perspective on
send this,
you know.
send it to this group
Yeah,
Perfect.
she's gonna help us with the
Add
financial.
Amber.
Yeah,
and CC Joe as well.
perfect.
Council.
That's beautiful. Okay,
All
so,
right.
number 8, new business, really none,
No.
Motion for adjournment,
I'll move the motion.
Second,
all in favor?
aye,
Aye, thank you very
you.
much.
thank you.